Yeah, so the first thing for this chapter was, like I said, T-Bone. So T-Bone's dead. Did you guys remember T-Bone? And if so, what did you remember about him? Because I know, like, I've been watching Tekking recently, talking about him, and like, I didn't remember like that this dude was like the Marine of Marines. Like, this dude was like what every person thinks of when they think of, well, at least what the citizens who don't know about the dark side of the Marines think of when they think of a Marine. He was just a good dude, and like all I really remembered of him, because like he hasn't showed up in so long. All I really remembered was his fight on the sea train.
Yeah, same. I only remember the fight, not much else.
Yeah, like all this stuff, like because with him like ripping his justice jacket to bandage up his friends, and crying over the loss of comrades and all this. Like I didn't remember any of that. That and with like I said, like I've just been keeping up with it through teching because it's like it's been a slow. We got break weeks and stuff, so it's been slow. I've just been kind of back. Like I let a bunch of his videos build up, and I've just been binging them. But yeah, the idea that like the reason that he was the first one to go is that like he was the good Marine. So then like anybody else seeing that, like if you trusted the Marines, it was probably because of people like him. And so like even from an outside looking in, if you don't know the scope of the situation, seeing that citizens turned against even him, any bad experience that you had with the Marines is now going to be brought to the forefront because you're like, oh, only the bad ones are left. So like that's got me hyped because I think we're going to see a lot more citizens either joining um, Cross Guild or starting up with the Revolutionary Army because they're like, oh, okay, so these guys are just all bad now. Like, so that is something that I'm really looking forward to because I'm ready for this final war. I'm ready. For, I'm ready for the Grand Fleet to show up and start doing things for once.
Yeah, I'm still looking forward to the thing of the Grand Fleet starts basically the end war. Um,
I
so
Yeah, the way that I've been kind of just assuming it's going to happen is like we saw how Law got done, we saw how Kid got done, and now we've got Luffy and the crew on Egghead, and they're about to be hit with like arguably even harder than Leloucia, right? Like yes, Leloucia was wiped out in one shot, but like they're sending everything that they could possibly do, including a Gorosei, to this island. I think that's the perfect time for the Grand Fleet to show up. Like, let's say they're like kind of in the area, and the Straw Hats call for help, and then let's say a week passes, they show up, they're still fighting, or maybe it's been a standoff because they can't get into like the upper areas of Egghead, and this is where the Grand Fleet shows up, and that's the only reason that the Straw Hats were able to make it out, right? I think that would be a really good way to introduce them. Because otherwise, it's like, do we wait until it's already like they've entered the battle rate? Like, do they make it out of here on their own? Like, what's the point of bringing a Gorosei if they're just gonna like mollywop them?
I'm pretty sure Blackbeard is going there as well right now.
Well, yeah, we know one of his ships is
Good
going. I don't
news,
think we got
everyone!
confirmation about who's on it yet, did we?
I don't know, but it's not only the world government, so it's other pirates as well. So it's gonna be pretty hard for them to get out unscathed without
Yeah.
Grand Fleet.
So um, we've got an admiral, we've got a whole fleet of marine ships, we've got a Blackbeard ship, at least one, because like technically, like if you zoom that picture out, we don't know how many ships were behind it, So at least one ship from Blackbeard's crew and a Gorosei. So yeah, this is the perfect time for them to come in.
yeah, we only know which Titanic captains aren't on the ship because they're on Hachinoso.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go to that. Let's see who who is on Hachinosu right now. We got
Aokiji, Vasco Shot. Apollo. He's the one with the island fruit, right?
Avalo Pizarro. Yeah. Do we know where um, Katarina Devon is? Is she on the island?
I don't think we've seen her.
So it could be a few people. Yeah, so San Juan is on the island. Valpazaro, Vasco shot. Um, okay, Shiryu is on the island.
And Aokiji.
Yeah, and Aokiji is. So I guess with everybody not accounted for, we got what's his name? Doc Q, Blackbeard. I guess is it everybody that was fighting Law is who's unaccounted for?
Yeah, basically. So I'm guessing it's most of them, if not all of them. And then I don't think I don't think Katarina Devon showed up when they were fighting Law though, so I don't know where she is.
Yeah, so she could be. I mean, they could do like one of two things, right? It could be basically after fighting Law, Blackbeard went to Egghead with everybody there, or they could have Katarina Devon showing up by herself. It'd be weird if she shows up on a Blackbeard ship, but I mean, like once she's in, she could disguise herself as anybody. So.
Yeah, she really just could be anyone right now. Someone that we've already seen in the past chapters just turns out to be Katarina Devon the whole time.
I mean, for all we know, she could be Kobe right now.
That is true.
I don't think they would do that, but it would be a crazy twist.
Yeah, I mean, she could be in undercover anywhere.
Okay, so let's see what happens next. So we've got they're discussing how well, in in his words, we're living in the end of days, Otsuru. So things are getting bad. Pirates and citizens are attacking the world government, and then they're talking about how Cross Guild is becoming a big issue. So let's move into the Cross Guild section. First of all, this old dude. A lot of people have pointed out the old dude who actually killed T-Bone. Do you think it was T-Bone sacrificing himself, maybe even killing himself, or do you think that it was like he just didn't fight back and there was like a community of people who went after it? I don't know how dark Oda really wants to go with that.
I think he just didn't fight back because like he understood that the Cross Guild or the people were trying to get money from the Cross Guild, and they didn't think, or he didn't think that it was like a. I just think that he was a honest man and he didn't want to kill a innocent person.
Yeah, like I wouldn't put it past him, like going back and like relearning everything about him. I wouldn't put it past him to have just kind of sat there and took it. But this old man, it's one of those things where it's like I'm looking at him, he's starving, he's old, he's shaking, he's scared. I don't know if like he could do it by himself. Like, you know what I mean? It's like one of those things where like a little kid punches an adult and like it may hurt a little bit, but it's not really doing damage. So I wonder if it was like a community thing, or that's kind of what makes me think that T-Bone like just took himself out, where he was like, "Oh, that will help you, okay," and just boom, sword in the gut or something like that. I don't know how much information we're gonna get on that, but can't see them taking him out.
I feel like this will be revealed later on as like a big twist. It just feels like it's purposely ambiguous. Like, oh, we just see that he died. Like, we didn't see the scene or anything. And it just seems a little suspicious. So I think extra details will come and it'll be like, oh, okay, I remember when we first saw that. Now all the pieces are matching up.
Yeah. I mean, right now it's saying, like, what they actually discussed about it is, so the headlines were saying, what the narrator says, is the passing of Vice Admiral T-Bone, a figure beloved to many in the Navy and the public, sent shockwaves around the world. The Navy did not reveal the cause of his death. Then we cut to them discussing it at HQ, and they're just saying, have we found the killer? No leads. All we know is that their family is living comfortable. So, like, they don't know who did it. That really doesn't give us anything to go on. It's just talking about the kingdom that they were in. Everyone is starving.
You think?
Okay, yeah. What's that?
You think T-Bone could have, defected into like the Revolutionary Army or something, and they faked his death for this.
Maybe he faked his own death, maybe? Like, I could see
Could
that happening, and therefore gave the guy credit so that way he could cash in the bounty from Cross Guild.
Yeah, so he could cash in the bounty, and maybe T-Bone saw something that was like the final straw, and he's like, this is not right. I can't stand for this. Let me go do.
I mean, I could see that because, like, looking at the old dude that collected the money, right? He definitely doesn't look like the kind of guy that could do it. He also doesn't look. He still at this point doesn't look confident in himself. So, like, I could with just the look on his face and his body language, I could definitely see him being like the guy they chose to take credit, and like he wasn't even maybe even in support of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And so he's completely out of like he's way below water right now. Like he's out of his comfort zone. He doesn't know what's going on. He just knows that if I say the right things, my family gets fed. Right.
I mean, he's
So I could see
shaking
that.
and crying, so
Yeah.
it's like he's not. There's definitely something going on, but he could be crying because he actually thinks that he killed him. Maybe
Oh yeah.
something like weird going on. Like maybe T-Bone pretended to like slip and fall and pretended to die. And so
He went
this
out like
old
Kalina.
this old guy is like, I actually killed him. I'm really upset, but I'm also terrified because I have to go collect this money from, the Cross Guild. But I feel really bad too, because otherwise I don't think he'd be crying. There's some other thing going on, I think.
Yeah, I feel like this man loved T-Bone because like I mean, and T-Bone is the perfect person to send to this country too, with how starved out they are and how much like that he would actually care and actually try and fix things, which kind of feels like the world government sent him there because they were like, well, we don't want to waste resources on these poor people who like can't pay to fund us, so we'll send him because he's such a kind-hearted guy. He'll figure it out himself. Um, that's just like a side thing that came to mind, but
But why, like, why the Cross Guild believe like that T-Bone is dead? Is it only because of the news on the newspaper, or do they have like extra proof that T-Bone is dead? Are they going off what the world government says? Because world government can just corrupt the newspaper pretty easily
yeah,
and just say,
I don't know. I didn't even think of that. So like,
yeah,
let's see. Yeah, there, like I would assume that there was confirmation of his death because both the newspaper is saying like they didn't reveal the cause of his death, and like behind the scenes they're saying, "Have we found the killer?" So they know he's dead. But that's a good point. How does Crossguild know he's dead?
Also,
Do they have a picture of his body? Do they have his body?
how did the old
I,
guy get to the Cross Guild? Did like the
I don't
news
know.
of his death, and then the Cross Guild sent someone to the island?
Well, they
And
said, "So you've crossed the sea to meet us," and he says, "Yes, sir." So like he's showing up at like the front gate.
yeah, but how does he
So like
know where? Maybe the cross the sea could be he got picked up by someone and brought there as well, because he still crossed. So I don't think an old man is sailing all the way to the Cross Guild's base. It just, you don't know where it is unless
I,
something.
maybe it's something like the way Cross Guild functions is that you get the kill, then they'll send you an offer, basically like, hey, you're gonna be hunted by the Marines. You can join us, and we can protect you. Um,
I mean,
so
it
that
would
way,
make sense. Like
yeah,
they've got the capability. Like, because keep in mind, like it was Buggy's delivery service before this, so they've got the capability to like have people everywhere, like that are usually hauling cargo. But now it's like, they've got people there to confirm the death, and then once they've confirmed it, they might give the guy the offer of like, hey, do you want to come back with us or something like that.
True.
But the only thing that kind of puts a wrench in it is that like, so let's see, right? They said. So he's like, hey, I hear you already sent the money to my family. So I'm guessing he was already on the ship by the time his family got paid, right? And then they offer him right now, like Buggy says, have no fear, you're welcomed into the fold. You're now a pirate with me. And he's like, a pirate? So this is the first time he heard the offer. So it might have just been like he might be scared because he has no idea why they brought him there.
True.
Also true, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure they have money kind of everywhere because of Buggy's basically an empire. So they probably have the bounty money just chilling. So they probably just paid him. It was like, hey, we paid your family XYZ. You should come with us. We might have an extra bonus. And
See,
then
I think based on how it's laid out, I think what basically happened is T-Bone died. They sent one of their people that were nearby to confirm the death. Then they brought him on their ship and just left, right? Because he has no idea what's going on. While he was on the ship, they were probably like reassuring him, and like, first of all, they were probably he's terrified, and these are pirates, so they're like patting him on the back, like you did it, you're great, blah 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 blah. And then I'm guessing there was like a Denden Mushy call with his family, where they were like, just so you know, we're good for it. Call your family, right? And then his family was probably like, oh my gosh, there's all this money. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But he's still freaked out because it's like, imagine you got hooked up with the mob. You know what I mean? And you took out one of their enemies, and you're in the back of their truck heading to their HQ. Like you're still gonna be scared, regardless of the fact that these people are treating you well. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably the order of events. Is that they just take the people that do it, right? And they don't tell them anything. And then once they get there, they're like, here, you basically have no choice. You're not a sailor. You're joining our crew, right? So they're like building their ranks with people that they know are willing to kill a marine.
yeah, I can see that.
Let's see. Next thing that happens, so they explain to him like, hey, you're one of us now. Nobody usually gets within a mile of Buggy. He's one of the four emperors. And then they're all pointing to him and they're like, that's Buggy in the flesh, right? You're a big deal now, like this kind of thing, right? Next thing that happens is the Buggy ship. I think they're gonna still use the Buggy ship. I think it would be hilarious because like what happens later, I think that the people are gonna be riled up and are gonna want to leave the island like right now. So I think that Buggy's ship we're gonna see it at Laugh Tale, and we're gonna have Crocodile and Mihawk like not happy about it. We may end up seeing Mihawk like at least chop Buggy's head off the front, but I don't think they're gonna take the time to change this.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really can't wait for the shot of all the ships pulling up to Laugh Hill at the same time, and there's just Buggy's head beside the Sunny.
See, it's gonna be awesome, and I personally like for a while now, just because of Buggy's track record, I assume he's gonna become the Pirate King. Like he's gonna become the Pirate King for like 5 minutes. He's gonna get it. He's gonna either it's gonna happen like where Buggy gets there and then Luffy gets there and Luffy like beats the snot out of him, or Buggy gets it, the Straw Hats hear about it, and then they go after him. You know what I mean? But like I think that he's going to become the Pirate King. Like I genuinely do, and I've thought that for a while, just because like he's done nothing to earn it, but he became a warlord. He's done nothing to earn it, but he ended up breaking out of Impel Down. He's done nothing to earn it, but he ended up owning Buggy's delivery service. Done nothing to earn it, but he became the figurehead of Cross Guild. And now he's done nothing to earn it, but he's a Yonko. With all these people behind him, they're going to carry him to Laugh Tale. Like, they're just going to do that for him.
he just constantly falls into success.
Dude, I'm so jealous of Buggy.
I'd love to fail and become a billionaire.
Yeah, dude. Like, oh, I quit my job. Oh, here's $1 billion on the ground. Like, that's Buggy's luck. So I would not be. I'll say it like this: I would not be upset if he's the Pirate King. Like, I'm not gonna like put all my eggs in one basket and say like, bet everything he's gonna be Pirate King. But I wouldn't be upset. I know there are people that would be, but I think it would be hilarious and it would fit the story perfectly.
So Buggy, like Laugh Tale, isn't it a story like when Roger Pirates went there, they found out what happened in the Void Century, but I think the stories in the old language that nobody can read except for Robin right now. So how would Buggy like get the knowledge or get the stuff that's on Laugh Tale without like Robin's help?
he probably has someone in his crew that can. That's just his luck. Just someone. It's like, oh, you can do that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, someone suddenly, it turns out like Moji the lion is actually from the Three-Eyed Tribe and can read the poneglyphs.
That's it.
Maybe.
So who's confirmed right now? It's Robin. Robin is the only one that's confirmed, right? It's like Big Mom believes that once her daughter unlocks her third eye, she'll be able to read it, but that's not really confirmed. Like it's like a legend that the Third Eye tribe can read the poneglyphs because of their voice of all things. But like if you look at like Roger had the voice of all things. Roger could like hear the poneglyphs calling to him, but he still needed Odin.
Yeah,
Wait.
speaking of Odin's dad can read poneglyphs.
That's true. Yeah, I forgot
those
about that.
seems,
Yeah.
according to the wiki, those are the only two people that can read it.
But
From what I can
isn't the
see.
road poneglyph in the old language? And so if somebody else wants to go to the Laughdale, they would have to read the road poneglyphs to figure out where the spot is. So only crew that can do it is right now Luffy's crew, and if somebody gets a hands on Odin's dad, then that crew. But basically, only Straw Hats can get to Laughdale right now.
Yeah, unless the Third Eye tribe can read the poneglyphs, in which case Blackbeard is also capable of making it because they kidnapped Pudding.
True.
Now, will she read it for them? We don't know, but technically they have that capability. So, I'm just scanning the next page because this is when Buggy gets beat up, basically. So they reveal Buggy's new ship, right? Big old clown. You know, there's a circus tent on the ship, a couple cross swords. That's which I don't remember. Is that the Cross Guild logo? The two cross swords with the skull swords in its mouth.
Let me check the wiki. I actually don't know.
It's close. So the official one is, I think it's like a skull in front of the swords, but it's like basically the Cross Guild logo.
I think it is, based on what I'm looking at, it seems to be the logo. Let me just.
Yeah, the actual, if you look at the bottom of page 6, the skull with the two cross swords behind it, that's on top of the tent, that is the Cross Guild logo. So it's like a modified version of it that's on the front of the ship.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Oh yeah.
Now this next part, I found it interesting because the plans of Mihawk and Crocodile seem very similar to Blackbeard. Like Blackbeard's goal is to create the pirate paradise, right? And he wants to become like a legitimate nation. It seems like Crocodile and Mihawk have the same plan. They want to build a utopia that is a military nation strong enough to resist any power, right? So they want the same thing as Blackbeard. Does Blackbeard, like, has he really tried to make any moves for the One Piece? Like, kind of. It's like seems like a side plan of his, but his main goal is basically their same goal. He wants to be a king.
I don't trust that that's Blackbeard's end goal though. Like if it's, I think Mihawk and Crocodile, that's frankly their end goal, but Blackbeard always has some other weird plan on the side or some crazy shit he's gonna pull.
Well, that's what I think. I think ultimately Blackbeard's end goal is not to be Pirate King, but to sit on the empty throne. I think that's what Blackbeard would want. Like his ambitions are crazy high, and with him wanting to become a legitimate nation, like it follows like become a legitimate nation, get access to Marijois, wreak havoc, take your spot on the empty throne, right? Become the only king. I think that would be his ultimate goal. Like, because the One Piece, I feel like with the way that his luck goes, that would be a much easier way to get his end goal than to get the One Piece and become the king of pirates. Like, I think that, like, I would almost argue that, like, Blackbeard would see that as a title below himself. Like, king of the world over king of the pirates for him. That's just the vibe that I get from him.
Yeah, I think he could give a speech. It's like, why would I be king of the pirates when not everyone's a pirate? That doesn't make any sense. Why would I want to not be king of everyone? But I don't trust anything that Blackbeard says or does. It just seems like it's always shrouded by just like he's moving kind of weird. Like, regardless.
For all we know, Blackbeard wants to follow all those steps to get into Marijois just for like the straw hat that's in there or something crazy like that. And because that will just be like one more piece in the rest of his plan. Because it's like when he became a warlord, you would assume he wanted to become a warlord for a long time. He was a warlord for like 20 minutes. Like, he became a warlord just to get into Impel Down. Like, that was the only reason. Like, so I guess we can't really determine what his end goal is, because like even becoming king of the world might be just one step in his plan. Like, we have no idea. Or even, I shouldn't say king of the world, but like getting into Marijois and even finding the empty throne. Maybe the only reason he wants to do that is to expose to the world that someone sits on it. You know what I mean? Just to create more chaos. And then however he wants to, take that and go somewhere else with it.
What if Blackbeard knows just a small detail of the Lost Century? Just knows something. And all of his motives are to achieve that something that no one else knows, that he knows for some reason. So everything he's doing is, like, let's say in that century there's actually another planet or something weird, I don't know, and he actually wants to go to the other planet, and that's like his entire goal is to leave the planet or something.
That's not impossible because space pirates are canon in One Piece.
Correct.
Like, that's entirely possible. And that's a whole nother can of worms. Like, that's something that I don't know if Oda's ever going to address it, but like, those were not moon pirates. Those were space pirates. So like, theoretically, there are other planets full of pirates. Like, that could genuinely, and like the thing is with Blackbeard, what is Oda said, like his real world profession would be like an archaeologist or a historian.
Yeah.
So like, that's kind of a part of his character.
What if Blackbeard is actually a space pirate that happened to land on the One Piece world when he was a kid or something, and that's how he can have multiple devil fruits, because he's not technically the same as everyone else. So he's not, let's say, devil fruits only, people are only bound by the rules of certain things when it comes to devil fruit if they're from this planet. And because he's not, it's like similar to like a Superman. Like, he's different because he's from somewhere else, so he's affected slightly differently. That's how he can have two devil fruits.
I mean, they've already established how weird he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even as a child. Like, because there was when Buggy was an apprentice, he pointed out that, like, Blackbeard doesn't sleep. Like, he never sleeps.
Yeah,
so, like,
which...
I mean, and that's genuinely one of the things I love about One Piece, is, like, a lot of the fan theories are absolutely bonkers, but, like, it could work.
Yeah, they're all plausible.
Yeah, dude, it's like nothing is impossible in this world. As long as it's got some sort of setup, like, and you can justify it, like like, I mean, it's a D&D campaign, like, so, like, whatever, as long as you can justify it, it could work. Like, if you would have told me beginning of the series, like, Buggy's gonna be a Yonko and he's gonna go for the One Piece, I'd be like, absolutely not. Buggy was a one-off villain, and then he just happens to come back, and every time he comes back, he's stronger.
And more
successful. If you would have said that Mihawk would be, like, technically working under Buggy based on their introduction, like, absolutely not. Now he's not realistically working under Buggy, but on paper he is.
Yeah.
Now let's get into, speaking of Buggy, let's get into this next part. So they want to build a utopia. They want to build a military nation strong enough to resist any power, and for that they need overwhelming strength. Now here we get Buggy kind of thinking to himself. He says, "This is all wrong. This wasn't the life I wanted for himself." So this is Buggy, like, for the first time in the series, being completely genuine. So he's like, you want, like, so basically he's reconsidering the fact that he's kind of been a wimp this entire time. So then he says, or what is it? Crocodile says, in order to buy that, we'll need massive wealth and power. And then, Buggy interrupts him. He says, "Massive wealth and power, right? Well, if you permit me to speak freely." And he says, "Kill me and be done with it if you like. But I got to get this off my chest. You really call yourselves pirates, chasing after all these small-time goals?" So, like, he is really, like, he's like, "Listen, I'm about to die. This is the real Buggy. I've always wanted to do this, and you guys are now holding me back with your small plans." So Mihawk says, "What's this? A last-ditch attempt to be arguing back? Stop wasting your time with these lateral moves, boys," is Buggy's response. And he's like, "Listen, Red Hair's making his move. We were both on the King of the Pirate ship, and neither one of us were able to go." And then he gets into kind of why he gives up his plan. So what do you guys think of that so far? Like, just the fact that Buggy is, for the first time, showing that he's got, like, Buggy balls. Did you expect this from Buggy? Are you excited to see where this goes? Do you think that Buggy is going to just kind of get stomped out again? What do you think at this point in the chapter?
I think good chance, Buggy's luck is gonna run out. He's actually having ambition for the first time since East Blue. It's a little bit crazy.
I think it's wild. Like, because Buggy, like, they could just kill him right now. I think the only reason they didn't is the fact that he's making his way towards that Den Den Mushi. But here's the thing. What I think is interesting is that right now we have the Marines saying we need to strike down Cross Guild the sooner the better, right? To save the morale of the Marines. Now, this is at the same time. Like, this is like meanwhile on Buggy's Island, right? Meanwhile, at the headquarters of Cross Guild, the Marines are plotting against Cross Guild, and Cross Guild is planning now, or at least Buggy and his people are now saying, like, no, we need to make big moves. What do you like? I can see the Marines trying to clash with the Cross Guild right here, right? They're like, we need to just take these guys out, right? Kind of little thought came into my head, may even divert attention away from Egghead right now, and that may be how the Straw Hats get out, and it may just be the Straw Hats versus whoever's on the Blackbeard ship. But regardless, so we got Cross Guild making their move now. I'm trying to think of, like, how this is actually going to work out, because Mihawk and Crocodile are on their own board. I'm just thinking out loud, right? So I don't know. How do you guys think this is going to work out? Who do you think Cross Guild is going to end up going against first? Do you think it's going to be other pirates? Do you think it's going to be the government? What do you think it is?
I think ultimately the Cross Guild might end up being an ally to Luffy later on, or at least combining their powers for a common goal. So I think it'll probably be Marines, I would say. I don't see them fighting like an ally of Luffy's or anything like that quite yet.
I mean, I could see Buggy trying to team up with Luffy, strictly basically saying, like, listen, you want to surpass Shanks, I want to surpass Shanks. We're going to need to work together, right? Like, I've got the manpower. I've been the closest to Laugh Tale. You've got someone who can read the road poneglyphs. Like, I could see that working. But I don't know if Luffy... I mean, does Luffy hate Buggy?
No, Luffy just trusts
He just doesn't
everyone,
really
right?
think of him.
Yeah, he doesn't think about him. He was shocked when he became a Yonko, but he didn't say, like, oh, God, I hate that dude. He was just like, what? Buggy's an idiot. How did he become a Yonko?
He's like,
Yeah,
oh,
'cause
he exists.
Yeah, I don't think that there was ever a point where Luffy, like, realized that Buggy has been consistently plotting against him the entire time. All right, so potentially maybe a Buggy and Luffy matchup that or team up. I think that would be really cool. But this part I found really interesting. So Buggy again, he's dead serious for like the first time in the series, and we learn about why he hates Shanks. So Buggy, I think that Buggy genuinely, if this next part didn't happen, Buggy would have signed up for Shanks's crew, and it would have gone completely differently for him. So he says, I could see that Shanks had so much promise ahead of him that I gave up on my dreams, right? Like, so he was like, I didn't think I could surpass Shanks, and so I didn't think that I was going to be the Pirate King, right? What that tells me is like they were best friends. They had like a sibling rivalry, but they were best friends, right? So he's like, this is at the day of Goldie Roger's death, which I found interesting that in the official translation they call him Gold Roger. Like they use the censored version of his name that the world government used. But so Buggy says, "Don't you remember what you said, Shanks, that you would take your own ship to Laugh-Tale one day?" And technically, what Shanks said to Buggy is that we will both make our way to Laugh-Tale, right? So he was basically reaching out to Shanks, and he's like, "Hey, do you remember your promise? Like, are you going to take us to Laugh-Tale?" And Shanks says, "Yeah, and I've changed my mind. For now, I don't feel like trying to get there, but I'll still be a pirate." And like looking at Buggy's face, I think that is what caused him to kind of go into his shell and revert basically to the immature person that we saw. But he says, "You're not who I thought you were, Shanks. Aren't you going to be the king of the next generation?" Right? So his dreams are crushed. Because Shanks crushes his dreams, Shanks says, "Come with me. Like, you can be a pirate on my crew." And he's like, "I'm not going to work under you. You're a coward." Right? And then he says, "I thought Captain Rogers' wish was for you to follow in his footsteps. Don't tell me you've forgotten that you've lost my treasure map. Well, I haven't forgiven you, so until next time we meet, we're enemies." Right? Like, I love this scene. I love it so much because like I've loved Buggy for a long time, and here's Buggy being completely honest with me, and he's like, "I loved Shanks. I looked up to Shanks. Shanks didn't live up to the level that I kind of held him at, and so I know that I'll never reach anything." Like that was generally like Buggy's mindset. And like with my wife and I rewatching the series, that context like completely changes how you see Buggy beginning of the series. Like, cause like we just finished like the Orangetown section, or well, I mean now we're in Arlong Park, but like we kind of flew through Orangetown, and with that in mind, like that it made me like Buggy even more. And I'm excited now because like what we've seen Buggy fail upwards as a coward, as someone who is not the real Buggy, right? Now, with Buggy being completely serious, maybe even gaining confidence and being able to fight on, on par with the people around him because he's going to fully utilize his strength to go after them. I really want to see. I genuinely want to see Buggy succeed here, and I like even if that means like Mihawk and Crocodile, as much as I love Mihawk, do end up working under him because he's like, "No, yeah, you're not pushing me around anymore. I'm the leader of Cross Guild. I'm the Yonko. I'm gonna be the Pirate King." Like I would love to see Buggy have, even if it's not permanent, to see a scene of him doing that, and like they acknowledge, like, "Okay, let's see where you can take us."
Yeah, I think
Rant
that
over.
seemed to be great. So I had an epiphany and my brain was like off in another train of thought.
Go ahead.
So I was thinking, you know, so since Shanks doesn't want to be like the heir of Goldie Roger, he wants to, do his own thing, like Buggy in that flashback. That kind of contextualizes Shanks giving Luffy the hat a little bit differently, because to me that was always a symbol of, hey, my mentor, my captain gave me this as like an heir, like to be his heir. But I don't want it. I don't want this sort of ambition. I don't have this ambition. I don't want to do what he did. I want to do my own thing. But this kid wants to do what he did. So I'm going to pass his ambition on to you because I don't want it. It's to me, it kind of contextualized Shanks gave the hat for Luffy, but I think he also did it for himself because he's like, I don't want this, reminder of what I'm supposed to, what my captain wanted me to do. I'm gonna just, I don't want this anymore.
I really want to know why Shanks decided to give up on his dreams. Like, because he made that decision at Roger's execution. Like, my immediate thought is like, oh, well, seeing Roger die, he's like, oh, so nobody's invincible. Like, maybe he's scared. But he knew that Roger was sick. He knew that Roger turned himself in. So it's like, what was it about? Was it maybe that it became real when Roger died? Like, did he maybe think like, oh, the captain's gotten out of worse than this? You know, I want to know that.
I think maybe thinking of Shanks and his personality, I think he might be under the impression that if he wanted to do it right away, it would have been too easy. I think he was like, I could do it. It's not going to be a problem. I'm going to, sit back, chill for a bit. And then, because now he's going after it, because I feel like he feels like there's a challenge. There's some sort of achievement to actually accomplish this now, because there's so many people that have so much power that it's not a cakewalk anymore.
Maybe he wants his own white beard, essentially. Like,
could be. He could be, I don't have a rival, but now, this new generation has power, and Luffy is doing all this stuff. I finally have someone who can challenge me. I finally have my white beard. And now he's like, okay, let's do it.
Well, let's see. When did Shanks say that he wanted to go for the One Piece? What chapter was it?
I'm looking it up.
I'm wondering if did he do it in response to Buggy becoming a Yonko?
It is. So based on this, it looks like after Kid, but I don't think that's right. It's Screen Rant, so.
Yeah, let's see.
Uh, 1054.
1054.
1054 has the panel where it's like it's time to go after the One Piece.
Alright, so let's see. So he looks at the newspaper. He sees Luffy's awakening, and he sees his new bounty. And then he says, so he's still looking at it.
Someone in chat says it's after Green Bull.
Yeah, so he wipes out Green Bull with his hockey. Like, just snipes him with it. Let's see. No, well, let's see. Well, no, they're still fighting. They're still fighting Green Bull here. It's Yamato versus Green Bull. And then it cuts to the seas around Wano. Shanks is pulling up. Okay, so he said, so this is where he sees that Luffy is a Yonko. He says it's surreal. He's really considered one now. And then they say, like, let's go, Captain. Luffy's a big time. He's a great pirate. Let's go see him, basically. And then of course Yasop says, "I'm not ready to meet Usopp yet." And then so Shanks is looking. He sees. I want to say that like the crew was excited. Here's what I think is going on. Here's why I think that Shanks wants to go after it now. He sees not only is Luffy on the level that he's ready to go, like he can, go toe to toe with people, but he's awakened. I think that Shanks knew not only that Roger was too early, but that Roger wasn't the Joy Boy of this age, right? And so he was waiting, putting like betting everything. Like once Luffy ate that fruit, he was like, okay, guess this is your destiny now. And he's been waiting this entire time. And now he's like, let's go get the One Piece. Either because he wants to be a challenge to Luffy, or maybe it's like he still sees Luffy as a kid in some way, and he's like, I'm gonna get it and bring it to Luffy. Like Luffy is the guy, or like maybe not bring it to Luffy, but guide Luffy there. And he's like, I need to bring Joy Boy to the treasure that the original Joy Boy left behind. I need to, like, now it's time to make my move. Now it's time to basically clear the path, because Joy Boy has to return to his treasure. Because I don't see Shanks trying to be an adversary to Luffy, is basically what I'm saying.
I don't see Shanks helping. I think Shanks might be like a litmus test. Like, hey, you have to, I don't want to fight you, but you have to earn this. So I have to fight you. Like, he wants to, be the final boss. He's like, I got you on this journey. I'm the one who got the powers to you. I'm responsible for this.
If you can't beat me, you're not worthy of the One Piece.
Yeah, kind of like that. Like,
or you're not ready for the One Piece.
Could be. Depends what the One Piece is. So it could very well be a, hey, if you can't fight me, what if the One Piece is like the final boss is something at Laugh Tale, and Shanks is, waiting in the water. It's like, you have to be able to beat me to even stand a chance to realize your goals. So we have to fight. Otherwise, you're going to go there and you're going to die.
I'm still thinking about the fact that that Buggy wasn't able to go. Like, he got sick as soon as because there's that whole thing about, like, maybe devil fruit users can't get close.
Yeah.
How does that, like, I'm trying to think of how that factors in. Because, like, with Buggy, bringing it back to this chapter, Buggy wants to go now. Buggy is the one that we know got sick getting close to it. So it's like, was it a Buggy thing? Did he just get sick? I think that'll confirm, that would be a great way to confirm for us whether or not it is a devil fruit sickness thing. Can Buggy, the guy who's stupidly lucky, can he get to Laugh Tale first, and does he become sick? Like, they could have Buggy, like, get all 4 poneglyphs, get close to Laugh Tale, and, he can't make it. Like, he just literally can't make it. Shanks can, though. You know what I mean? And then, like, I don't know how we factor Luffy into this. There's so much stuff going on in the story right now that I'm theorizing as if Luffy's not the main character. Like, okay, so how does Shanks become Pirate King? How does Buggy become Pirate King?
What if...
I'm wondering, how can others claim the One Piece if they don't know how to read the road poneglyphs? It's weird.
Well, that is why they said, like, Nico Robin would become a very wanted figure back in Zou, because she's the only confirmed person that can read the poneglyphs. So it'll probably be a lot of attempts on stealing Robin away from the crew.
I wonder if Shanks is just going to wait for them at Lodestar.
Maybe.
He needs someone to read it. So, like, he can't... I mean, unless Shanks can just read the poneglyphs. Like, we don't really know that much about Shanks. So, like, either he can read them by himself, or he's going... Maybe he... Does he... How many... He doesn't have any rogue poneglyphs, correct?
I mean...
I think he does now.
Yeah, he does. He does now.
Because we didn't... I'm saying that because I don't think we saw him actually grab the rubbings
No,
Um,
but I think it's heavily implied. I think it would be a pretty safe
Yeah, he didn't
assumption.
specifically ask them for the rogue poneglyph, so I don't think he would
Leave without
leave
it.
without the yeah.
yeah, okay. So yeah, so let's say he's got 3. So he's got 3. How many does Blackbeard have?
If he took laws, then he would have 3.
Okay, so Shanks has 3, Blackbeard has 3, Luffy has 3, Buggy has none, but he's got a dream, and that's always worked for him before. Just trying to think, like,
But would Shanks know about the last road poneglyph, like about the guy with a scar? Like, would he know about anything about it?
see, I'm a Shanks fanboy, so I would always say yes. If you're like, can Shanks beat this guy? Yes. Is Shanks smart enough to know this or resourceful enough to know this? Yes. Shanks is he's that guy. He's got all the influence and power of Doflamingo, but the government is on good terms with him.
I figure if Blackbeard knows, then probably Shanks will know. They've both been in the game around the same amount of time.
Yeah. But I think I want to give Shanks. So I want to give Shanks the edge in it in terms of knowledge, because like it's tough though because like Blackbeard can muscle his way to information that Shanks can just freely access. So like I feel like they could be about even, but I do want to give Shanks the benefit of like he can basically go wherever he wants and no one can stop him. Whereas Blackbeard will face resistance everywhere he goes. So like people would willingly give up information to Shanks that Blackbeard would have to kill for.
What if? So I was just
So
reading about the road poneglyphs, right? And the last one is in Egghead, right?
I don't know.
I think it because it was in O'Hara. So based on the information that we have,
No, it wasn't in Ohara. Because you said like he remembers seeing the poneglyph in Ohara and it wasn't red.
Yeah, I think they were studying the one of the what are they called?
blue.
What are the historical poneglyphs? I forget the term for them.
oh, sorry, I'm reading the wrong section. I'm a dummy.
Yeah, all we know about the last poneglyph is that the man with the burn scar either has it or knows where it is, and the man with the burn scar also can control like vortexes or something.
There's
Yeah, he can.
historical poneglyphs, instructional poneglyphs, and road poneglyphs.
I swear those were not the terms used for them.
Rio poneglyphs, maybe?
Yeah, the Rio poneglyphs is what they were called. Yeah, that's so weird. Historical poneglyphs.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm reading the wiki.
Yeah.
But so, if Shanks and Blackbeard know about the scar man, then if they're both going for the scar man, then wouldn't they clash? If they get to the guy at the same time?
Well, and that's the thing
Yeah,
is like we don't even know where that guy is, right? Because Kid wanted to go after that guy, but Kid also did not choose the path that he took to the next island.
Right.
So we don't know where that person is or who that person is. Do we have any leads for the man marked by flames?
Literally zero aside from like he's marked by flames and he can potentially sink ships.
You can create
Other than that, we have
whirlpools.
nothing.
Yeah.
Whirlpools. We have nothing aside from that. Apparently he's on a ship that has like black flags.
Yeah, all black. He said to set sail on an all black ship. So I assume it's a ship that looks, charred.
It's the Black Pearl.
Uh-oh. Maybe.
I'm just trying to look at what Dragon's ship looks like.
Yeah, I feel like it could be Gabon from Roger's ship, just because he feels like a relevant character from all like the backstory we've seen, but we just haven't seen him or heard about him at all in the manga.
Yeah, because he was basically their Sanji, right?
Yeah, he
He was
was
the
the
yeah
third in command.
yeah because you had gold, silver, and copper. I'm trying to see like when's the last time we saw him? Yeah, status unknown. Okay, so like the last thing that we know about him is that basically he cried when the crew disbanded. I'm really curious because now this has me thinking of a few things. Like, is he still using Roger's ship? Maybe he's been still, going through it. Is he marked by flames because that giant egg hatched and there was a dragon?
He's Khaleesi?
Or he could be marked by flames from a clash with that Kainu.
That's true.
Or he could have a devil fruit, like a weird immortality one. So he was actually set on fire. What if he was like set on fire or something, and he just can't die, but all of his flesh is just charred?
That feels pretty dark, but it could be.
Yeah, because the Oro Jackson was a like crazy, fancy, colorful ship. But let's see, their old ship is all black. Let's see. So it's like maybe if he went to his old vessel. Okay, yeah.
Or
So the
or
ship
like Oro Jackson got just burnt, but in the same flames that he got burnt by.
yeah. Yeah, so the ship that, at least how it's colored in the anime, Monkey D. Dragon, because he's the one I always go to for, like, the man marked by flames anymore, because it's like, he's got that unique marking on his face. He's been shown to control the weather, so whirlpools would not be out of the question for that, because he made, if I'm not mistaken, he made wind, clouds, and lightning show up. If you can do that, you can make whirlpools.
Yeah.
But again, his ship is not all black. So, do you think it's going to be a new character, or do you think it's going to be somebody that we like that we're going to be like, oh, why didn't we think of that?
I mean, the last poneglyph, it was on the Fishman Island, and it was taken away. I think, that's what it said on the wiki. It's that at least 25 years ago, this poneglyph was located at the sea forest next to Joy Boy's apology message. At a certain point later, the road poneglyph whereabouts became unknown, and it's currently considered lost. However, it is speculated to be in the possession of Hinos Hinokisu, the Scar guy. So somebody somebody took it away, and for some reason they took it away in 25 years. In that span of time, they took it away. So it might be right after Roger's death, or like right after Roger went to the island. They found out something, so the guy or some guy stole it, so it would match up the time, so nobody can get there before the right time.
I give it based on the fact. Yeah, so Hinokizu is the man marked by flames. Apparently, his official English name is Burn Scar, according to the wiki. Um, based on the time frame, I am kind of thinking it might be Scopper. Although it says Shiryu speculates that he works for the world government. He ventured that it would make sense because the government had secrets, and then possessing a rogue poneglyph would keep all pirates away from Laugh-Tale, though he didn't offer proof for this claim. Blackbeard Kid and Law all knew about it, or all knew about him. And it says, strangely, the first time that he was mentioned, it was partially written in kanji, and then partially written in furigana. I don't know. That may be relevant. I have no idea. Let's see. It says, in modern Japanese, furigana is usually used to gloss rare kanji to clarify rare, non-standard, or ambiguous kanji readings, or in children's or learners' materials. Okay, so basically nothing. They just used it to to make sure that the kids could read it properly. And we really have nothing to go on. Chapter 1056, when Kid talks about him. Let's see. We are completely sidetracked right now.
It happens.
Yeah, I think this discussion was supposed to end like 30 minutes ago. It's fine. We're just hanging out. Yeah, so let's see. Okay, yeah, so all we have from Kid is Killer saying, if we want to stay ahead in the scramble for the One Piece, we ought to be serious about that guy. And then he says, you want to go after the man marked by flames, but we've got no leads. And then the translator note says, the phrasing here is unique and can imply a burn scar or a scar shaped like fire. So let's go to the official translation and see what they translated it as. Okay, so the official translation said, we're going to have to put all of our strength into this task if we want to take part in the all-out war over the One Piece. And then Kid just says, what, you mean finding the man with the burn scar? That's not enough to go on. And then Luffy says, burn scar, what do you mean? And he says, you don't know? Ha, seems like we got an advantage. He kind of ate those words recently. I mean, he definitely ate those words recently.
He was hungry.
Yeah, and Shanks fed him. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm starting to think Buggy might not succeed. It's like going back to this chapter.
But he's
like,
never not succeeded. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's like a perpetual thing. The man takes dubs.
Well, I mean, right before announcing he is going to lead the One Piece, he is literally under like Crocodile's boot. So, so like, I don't know. But yeah, to finish off this segment, because I feel like the man marked by flames is just going to continue to be us speculating on random people. So Buggy, basically against the wishes of Crocodile and Mihawk, he bounces off of the hook that he's hanging on. He hops over to the Denda Bushi. Now, while he's saying this, so basically Crocodile says, titles can create a false sense of superiority. I've never seen anyone this full of himself. And then Mihawk says, do you actually believe you can talk us into this? This next part right here is something that people have been talking about a lot, and it's Shanks saying, "Red hair, Blackbeard, Straw Hat. You want us to fight all of them at once?" And most people are saying that as like um, Shanks is weak, or Mihawk is weak, and he's like scared of them. But I think that was just a sign that like basically everybody's going to show up there at the same time. Like everybody is going to be scrambled, which makes sense, seeing as in chapter 1056, even Killer was acknowledging like this is going to be an all-out scramble for the One Piece. So I think it's going to be like red hair, Blackbeard, Straw Hats, World Government, Cross Guild, like everybody is going to be fighting for it. And that's what his reaction was, because he's like, listen, I can kill any one person on this planet if I really wanted to, you know, if I'm going to simp for Mihawk a little bit. But he's like, dude, this is going to be us against everybody. Now, with that in mind, that Mihawk is like, everybody is going to be up against us. Buggy's not. He's sticking to his guns. He's like, no, I'm not saying we got to fight anybody. Let's just get there first, right? Then he hops over, like I said. He gets over to the Den Mushi, and this is where he makes his big announcement, where he's like, listen, you know, you guys all kind of gave up on your dreams. You've been serving me, doing whatever. Now, let's go and take it. The One Piece is ours. The cat's kind of out of the bag. Do you think that there's any possibility that Crocodile and Mihawk at this point could calm everybody down? I don't. Simply because everybody already thinks that they, like, even within the Cross Guild, they think that these two work for Buggy. So I don't think they're going to stop it at this point. What do you guys think?
I don't think they can. I think logistically they can't, because if they try to, it's going to destroy the entire charade of them being underlings. And I think they understand that there could be marine spies anywhere. So if they try to, you know, calm everyone down and go against Buggy's wishes, that could potentially get back to the Marines, and they'll be the target instead. And the whole reason that they put Buggy as like the figurehead will be destroyed.
So is this Buggy, like, is putting it like that, is this Buggy for the first time in the show actually working himself, like, or ranking himself up by his own volition? Like, at this point, like, where does all the power from Cross Guild come from? There's two things. It's their money and it's their numbers. If I'm not mistaken, Crocodile basically fronted the money, right?
I believe so, yes.
So Crocodile's got the money. That's all he's got. Buggy has the men. This could literally force Crocodile, at least, whether Mihawk wants to stay or go, this could force Crocodile to be working under Buggy. Like, making Buggy actually worthy of his status. They kind of have to go along with it.
Yeah, because if they back out, everything, you know, kind of crumbles, and they, you know, they're close to their dream. Like they're making some serious progress. So I don't think they would destroy their all their hard works yet.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like if they back out, like Buggy may not be able to keep up the Cross Guild schemes, but like he's still got a fleet, like a massive fleet. And if his goal is no longer to run Cross Guild in its current setup as like basically a bounty system, I don't think that Oda is going to introduce the bounty system, kill off one Marine, and then stop it. I don't think that. But Buggy could still achieve his goals here. And like Crocodile really does need to come to terms with that. So does Mihawk. That like, you guys think that you're in charge here, but really, once again, Buggy accidentally has himself in a scenario where he's pulling all the strings. I really want to see how this plays out. This is the thing, is like every episode, every chapter that comes out, I'm just like, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait until the next week, because like that's crazy. Like, to see Crocodile and Mihawk actually have to bend at the knee would be insane. I mean, I wouldn't look forward to seeing how TikTok handles that, because we know that's just going to devolve into, Mid-Hawk and Croco Mid, you know. But from the storytelling perspective, I think that's really interesting, and I really want to see how this goes.
Yeah.
But we don't have anything else, because now we are shifting over to the Revolutionary Army. So we've got some new people. They've showed up before, but I think this is their first time they've been given names. So they're sitting on Kamabaka Queendom. We got 4 people here. They are each the vice captains of the different blues. So we've got Morley's subordinate Ushiano. We've got Belobetti's subordinate Ahiro, Lindbergh's subordinate Gambo, and Karasu's subordinate Jiron or Jiron. I'm not sure how to pronounce any of these names because I haven't seen them animated yet. But so they are just kind of hanging out, taking a look outside, or taking a look out to the sea, and a ship comes up. And of course, as we know, Sabo's there. Here's one thing I did want to address. What was the chapter in which Lucia was destroyed? Let me find that quick. Because I've heard people say that it makes sense. Let's see, Lucia Kingdom. What chapter was that? Chapter 1060. From what I hear, it's apparently made pretty clear in the chapter that, or at least left up to interpretation, that Sabo is actually not on the island. Yeah, I don't think so. So, so the argument that I heard was basically that based on the shading on Sabo, it looks like the light is coming from the side of him, but he's shaded just like the other people that we've seen. So I think Sabo was on the island, or was I don't think there was any hint that Sabo wasn't on the island. So let's see. He says, does he actually say he wasn't there? I think he just says he'll explain everything.
Yeah, I think that's how it was left.
Yeah, he does. No, he says I wasn't actually in Lelucia. Yeah, so it seemed like he was there. I don't think that was foreshadowed. Like, because people wanted to say, like, no, you could tell if you actually pay attention. No, it's just one panel of him looking slightly off to the side. If anything, he was, like, on the shores of Lelucia when it happened. So I think what ended up happening is he was probably there to recruit or to save people. He started to leave, and, like, as he was leaving, it got blown up. But I don't think he was, like, somewhere else entirely or on a different island nearby or anything like that. I mean, maybe. Maybe he was on an island close by. But,
well, he has
at that point...
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
He has a Lelucian ship.
Yeah, he was leaving with people from Lelucia, or he had people with Lelucia or from Lelucia with him. Like, he was on the island at some point. So he just, I mean, from what he says, yeah, he says, remember how I sent the indirect call signal? 3 noises. I wasn't actually in Lelucia.
So he got there on a ship. So assuming he had a ship, why does he have another ship? Maybe it's a bigger ship and he was trying to save people. Possibly. Or he found out something was happening and just stole the ship. Or there was a fight or something. And that's how he has the Lucian ship now.
I mean, the world government, I think he knew, like, he was being chased, and then when he was out of Lucia with, like, some of the people there, then he called
That's what I'm thinking.
the revolution and said, like, oh, I'm in Lucia to bait the world government, so, and to make them think, oh, he's dead now.
But I don't see Sabo... Unless he saved everyone on the island, I just don't see him baiting the Marines to an island with innocent people just to save himself. That just doesn't seem like something he would do.
And that's the thing. He didn't save everyone because you can see in chapter 1060, you can see there's people that are not, they're clearly not on a ship because they're looking up in the sky at the light that's about to fire down on the island. And there's buildings around them. And then you like when it shows from above, they're standing on like a cobblestone or like a block street. This is not on a ship, unless he had some massive ship that was like the size of an island, which he clearly doesn't. Like he doesn't have some Thriller Bark type thing. It's just a regular boat.
Yes, I don't see him sacrificing any innocent people, let alone an entire island worth of them.
Remember how I sent the indirect calls? Hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna need an explanation because like it seems like he killed those people. like those people were guinea pigs basically. Like he was like, all right, they were scapegoats at this point.
Yeah, which just doesn't seem like his character to do that. I mean, we don't know too much, but like we know enough.
Well, we know that he's like the same, for the most part, the same type of person as Luffy and Ace. Like he was their brother. Yeah, he was raised by the revolutionaries, but he's got his memories back. You know, he's clearly a kind person. I say clearly, but we really don't know that much about him.
He just murdered an island.
Yeah, potentially, because he's like, they were like, listen, we know he made the call. Like that's why they fired on Leloucia. But he says, I sent the indirect call signal. So it seems like he was in the ship. It wasn't like he called them from Leloucia and then left, right? He was in the ship, leaving Leloucia. It almost seems like he bounced a signal off of a transponder snail in Leloucia to draw attention off of himself. And he knew, because he was leaving with people from Leloucia, that he didn't get everybody. He took part in a genocide. Now, the thing is, he's not a pirate, he's not a marine, he's a revolutionary. Do the revolutionaries think that that's something he shouldn't do? That's the real question.
I feel like Sorry.
I was just going to say, was he brought up to think that that is a no-go? Or was he brought up to think, listen, I have dirt on the revolutionary government. Or on the world government. I need to get this to the revolutionary army. No matter what. Like, I'll try and save some people, but I need to get out of here, and I can't do that if the government thinks I'm alive.
Like a ends justify the means type thing?
Yes. Yeah.
I want to say that something happened on the island where maybe everyone was super corrupt, or there was some shenanigans going on, and he's like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna save the good people, and the rest are like whatever. I don't know, whatever. Or maybe this is my theory. He was on the island, got someone pregnant, and then was like, all right, I can't handle this. Destroy the island.
Yeah, it wasn't even the world government that destroyed the island. It was Sabo himself.
Yeah, he's like,
he awakened the fruit.
It's like, specifically, I can't deal with this. We're just whole island.
I'm trying to like look in the background of any of these images for a ship.
Sorry, I actually need to run.
No worries. We're about to finish up.
Yeah, it's all good.
We are right at the end of the chapter.
Yeah, appreciate you coming out.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Yeah, hope to see you guys next time.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Maybe it's not next week, right? It's the week after, or is next week we get a chapter?
Yeah, we get a chapter next week.
Okay. So yeah, next week, same time.
All right, take care, guys.
See ya.
Have a good one. Yeah. So if like the thing is like when it comes to maybe he took all the good people, like if you look. The people that were there when it got destroyed, they look like common people. So I'm going to assume that it wasn't like, because we know Sabo's history with like the aristocracy in the One Piece world, like he doesn't like them. These people that got wrecked, that got like deleted, they all look like common people. They look like regular citizens. So I'm wondering if maybe it was a situation where Sabo was like, I need to get this information. So what I'm going to do, but I can't let the world government know I'm alive, to actually get the information to them. Like, I'm going to pretend these are the last few seconds I have. Because he's very, very serious on the phone, right? Like, and he's like, I'm going to spill the secrets, right? Knowing full well that the world government is tapping into his Den Mushi. Knowing full well. So I think what he did was just to ease his conscience a little bit, is he basically said whoever can fit on this ship, or maybe he even said whoever wants to join the Revolutionary Army, come with me because I'm the Flame Emperor. You guys recognize me. You know I'm not just like kidnapping you or whatever. So he's like, I'm gonna get a bunch of these people off to ease my conscience. I saved these people, right? Then he takes his ship. He sails out far enough that he knows he's not gonna get wrecked. He links the call back to a transponder snail on the island and starts acting like he's running out of time. That way, they wipe the island. They think they wiped out Sabo, and now he takes these people who are already signed up to join the revolutionaries to Kamabaka. The only issue with that plan is that these people just watched the Flame Emperor sacrifice an island. That's the only issue with the plan. So, like, maybe by the time they get there, they're, like, not as into the Revolutionary Army.
I mean, the information must be, like, really, really high level because only Dragon and, like, no other captains can know about the stuff that happened in Marishwa, so only them three are talking right now. So it's like, it must be really, really bad.
Well, and it is, because what he was saying, the last words that he said on the transponder snail were, there's supposed to, the throne that's supposed to remain forever empty because there's no king of the world actually has. And then it cuts off. And then it just cuts to, communications, listen to me. You did not detect anything today. You did not intercept anything. The kingdom of Lucia, that country never existed in the first place. And then they are calling for him, and he doesn't respond. That's it. And then they said, seaquake detected in the open sea to the southeast, tsunami warning issue. That's it. And then it cuts back to the Straw Hats. And then we go to Egghead. So yeah, I think that's genuinely what happened. I think he got a bunch of people, he went off, and he's like, I know exactly what's going to trigger them to unleash their like heaviest attack, and it's going to make them think they took me out. He starts basically goading the world government, saying like, I'm going to tell them about the empty throne. They blow up Lucia, and he's like, all right, now, sorry I had to kill everybody you grew up around, but now we're in the clear. They have no idea we're alive. They have no way to track us. As long as we don't fire up at Denden Mushi, they cannot track us. We're making our way to Kamabaka Kingdom, and we're going to actually send that message. Like, now we have safe passage. And the thing is, all these people must have been on board, because looking at this current chapter, they said, it's a real shame what happened to your homeland, but I hear you want to enlist in the army. And they all say, yes, ma'am. So, like, they were clearly on board with this plan.
So, maybe. What if something happened in Lucia that everyone knows what Sabo knows? And he's like, the Marines have spies everywhere. This information is going to get out, and this entire island is going to get destroyed, regardless of what I do. So what I can do is I can save as many of you as I possibly can, because your island's going to get destroyed. This information is going to get out. So I'm going to save as many people as I can, and I'm also going to share this information with the world. And then everyone was just like, yeah, save who you can. We understand. Please, this information is literally the most important information in the world. Just as long as this message gets out, we're okay with the entire island and everyone dying. But save as many as you can.
The only issue with that is this one man on the Lucia that's unless this may hinder or help that idea, because there's a dude holding a baby or a small child, and she says, "I'm scared, Daddy," right before the island gets destroyed, right? But that panel is right next to Sabo reacting to it, so that may be what happened. And they were like, all right, like women, children, and people willing to fight, you get on. So, like, maybe that kid is on the ship. Maybe that kid's still alive.
Yeah. And it's just
that would explain it.
I think that's the only logical conclusion I can come up with that doesn't involve Sabo massacring an entire island. but
Yeah, 'cause I don't
also
want him to be a villain.
yeah, but also like makes sense. He's like, okay, this is the situation. We're going to do what we can. But like, what information would have been shared in like an entire island, like a Nahara level incident? What? How could that information be shared there? Like that's the question.
Yeah. Well, here we say like we have them sitting around the table talking to each other, and they even bring up like, uh, so Eva says, "Can't we tell the captains about all of this, Sabo?" And well, first of all, Dragon apologizes. He's like, "Yeah, you kind of wasted all your efforts at Marijois because Kuma's back." Um, but then Ivankov says, "Can't we tell the captains about all this?" And he says, "I'm afraid not. Listening in could put their lives in danger. This reverie was truly an affair." And then he says, "I'll tell you everything that actually happened in Sacred Marijois." So, whatever. I don't. Maybe even the empty throne wasn't the biggest deal. Like, because he's like, like they already know something's up with the empty throne. That's not the new information that he needs to give them. I have no idea what it could be because we know that like he fought against a couple of admirals. We know that like we know Cobra died. I mean, we know Vivi was kidnapped, but we know where Vivi is now. I want to. I literally don't know what it could be.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's wild.
Whenever I can't figure something out or like I don't know like what it's gonna be, I just wait because every time I'm curious about something, Tekking puts a video up. It goes into like every possibility. He like combs through the whole series and he's like, all right, here's all the different options. Like I'm the worst with this stuff because like my mind goes to like all different places, but like I'm never right. I'm like the worst with it.
So the king of Lelucia kind of looks like a vampire.
Ingseki.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a vampire. So what if he had like some powers, something? Because he looks like a vampire. So I don't know. And he
Well, we know he
stumbled
was
across
a terrible
something.
leader.
Right. So what if he stumbled across something, and Sabo like told Sabo or something, or maybe they both saw it at the same time or something, and so in retaliation, like your entire island's gonna get blown up. Like it is what it is.
Well, let's see. Oh, what we know. Let's see. Okay, so what we know right here. So he made it to the Reverie. His daughter was kidnapped on the way. She was saved by Marines. They went to the Reverie, discussed Wano. Uh, then they had the meeting, right? In the Egghead arc, they returned home to Lelucia Kingdom, but their citizens were inspired by Sabo and revolted. The revolution ended up being successful, and Seki and Kamane, I think it's how you pronounce it, were imprisoned. So he was in prison on his own island when it got destroyed because the citizens had already revolted. So I'm guessing that Sabo's like speech to draw people onto the ship was like, all right, you've succeeded here. Let's, free. It was probably one of I don't know because like that the way that thought was going to go would make Sabo even worse because I was going to say it might have been the people who were like, hey, who wants to stay here and rebuild your country versus going and helping other people free themselves? And everybody wanted to stay and rebuild, got destroyed. Dude, they need to give us more information about this.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll probably get something in the next like 20 chapters.
Yeah, in the next year.
Yeah.
Or 6 months. Yeah, I think that the rest of this the rest of this conversation is just going to be us like theorizing. Let me see. What was the most recent episode of One Piece?
I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, no idea.
So I was just thinking, I know people said we're getting close to Gear 5th.
I think it's in August or something.
Yeah, it would have been 1060, and then I guess, what, today or yesterday? What is another one?
Yeah, I think.
Ah, wait. Okay, so June 4th is going to be episode 1064. Let's see, 1063.
It was 1061.
So episode 1063 is called Luffy Accelerates, the turning point of a new era. You cannot be throwing out names like that if you're not giving us Gear 5th. So yeah, Luffy accelerates, blah 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 blah. The next one is called A Lawless Dragon Approaches Luffy.
Yeah, it's probably in between 1063 and 1064. Will most likely be where it is.
Well, let's see, episode 1061 adapted. Yeah, we're still a little bit off. Episode 1061 only adapted up to the first 3 pages of chapter 1035. So they still have about 9 chapters left to adapt. So we're probably looking at like July.
Probably like 3 months or so, 3-4 months.
So I mean, if it's 10 chapters, depending on the week, like they might get through a chapter. It's weird because they'll do like half one chapter, half the next. So like they might, I'd say like 10 weeks, and then they're gonna have a cliffhanger ending on chapter 1060 or 1044 or 1043. Sorry, when Luffy smiles.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's gonna be the cliffhanger, probably like somewhere in July, and the next episode will have it. So it's probably gonna be 11 weeks from now is when we're finally gonna see it. But people have been asking me about that, so I wanted to bring that up. Am I excited for it? Which is, I feel, a silly question. Of course I'm excited.
Of course.
Did we ever get any more information on that rumor or meme or whatever it was that they were doing? They were in talks with like Warner Brothers to do Looney Tunes soundtrack for that episode, or like having some of the sounds at least available to them.
I have not heard anything about that.
It was a thing a little bit ago. So I assumed it was probably just a rumor, and people believed it because it would make sense. But that's I have total confidence in the animation team that they're gonna make it awesome. Like it's gonna look incredible. My main thing that I'm really anticipating is the sound design for the episode.
Yeah.
Because like this is a huge deal. This is Luffy's awakening, 25 years in the making. You know what I mean? And it's been hyped up for, a year at this point. More like several years if you count people speculating about it. But they need the sound design to be like top tier, because the animation we know is going to be top tier. But It needs to sound goofy. It needs to sound goofy and still sound, it makes sense within the arc. So that's I think the make or break for that episode. But I'd
agree.
I am exactly right now about 10 minutes over out of time. So I do need to head out.
Understandable.
All right, well, hopefully next week we've got a few more answers, not as much speculating, and we can actually talk about like whatever the big reveals are.
Well,
big reveals this week being, Buggy's got balls, Sabo's back, and good old T-Bone is unfortunately no longer with us.
There's always something to speculate, so I'm sure it'll just be a whole nother section of speculations.
All All right. Well, thank you for hanging out today. Thank you for discussing this with us. We do have to put an end to today's conversation. But next week, same time, same place, we will be back to discuss chapter 1083.
Thank you.
Have a good day, guys.
See ya. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the discussion on One Piece chapter 1082, led by the one, the only SaigaRunner. If you would like to participate in this discussion, go ahead and join the Discord that is going to be in the description of this video. Also, if you want more SaigaRunner content, he is on YouTube, which is where you're probably watching this. Also, he has a TikTok where he posts probably 5+ videos every day. Not just about One Piece, but about, some other stuff as well. I think he's doing a Yu-Gi-Oh! Rewatch at the moment. So make sure to check him out. And I am the Seven-Figured Man. You can find me wherever. I'm not important. Don't worry about that. Yeah. So, hopefully you guys will be around next week at 10:30 Eastern Time to 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time to discuss 1083 and hopefully be able to participate in the discussion as well. Thank you guys for being